Let me ask you something that might make you a little uncomfortable. What if the smartest financial decision you ever made was actually the one that's slowly robbing you of your life? What if the discipline you're most proud of, the saving, the delaying, the responsible postponing, is quietly costing you more than you'll ever get back? There's a book that dares to make that argument. It's called Die with Zero by Bill Perkins. And whether you walk away agreeing with it or not, I promise you this, it will make you question things you've never questioned before. So let's get into it. Lesson 1. Your life is measured in experiences, not assets. Perkins opens with a provocation. He says your life, at its core, is simply the sum of your experiences. Not your savings rate, not your net worth, not how responsibly you followed the conventional plan, just experiences. The moments you had, the risks you took, the trips you almost didn't book, the conversations you almost kept postponing. He makes a point that sounds obvious, but hits differently when you sit with it. Money is a tool. That's it. It has no intrinsic value on its own. Its only purpose is to convert your time and energy into meaningful experiences. But somewhere along the way, most people stopped treating money as a means and started treating it as the end goal. They optimize for the number in the account instead of the richness of the life being lived. A 2023 survey of over 1,500 American retirees found that 61% wished they had prioritized experiences earlier rather than focusing almost entirely on savings. Not because saving is wrong, because waiting too long is a cost nobody talks about. Lesson 1 is simply this: maximize positive life experiences now, because life doesn't reward hoarding, it rewards living. Lesson 2. Memories compound, just like money. Here's where Perkins gets genuinely clever. He introduces a concept called memory dividends. The idea is that experiences don't just give you value in the moment, they keep paying you back for years, sometimes decades. Think about it this way. Imagine you travel somewhere remarkable at age 30. You tell stories about it, you revisit the photos, you smile randomly on a Tuesday afternoon 15 years later because something reminded you of it. That single experience has been generating emotional returns for decades. Now imagine taking that same trip at 75. You might get 10, maybe 15 years of those returns before the memory fades or you're no longer here to enjoy it. Same cost, dramatically different lifetime return. We understand compound interest when it applies to money. We're taught from an early age, invest early, let it grow, time is your greatest asset. But we completely ignore the same logic when it applies to experiences. The younger you are when you have a meaningful experience, the longer it pays you back. And here's the uncomfortable extension of that idea. Some experiences have expiration dates. Backpacking through mountain ranges, running your first marathon, building something from nothing with relentless energy. These belong to specific seasons of life. You cannot fully delay them. Lesson 2 is to compound memories the same way you compound money. Start early. Lesson 3. Most of us are running someone else's script. This is the lesson that tends to land hardest. Perkins points out that most people are living a life they never consciously chose. The blueprint was handed to them. Study hard, get a stable career, work for 40 years, save aggressively, retire at 65, and then finally begin living. But ask yourself honestly, who actually designed that plan? And more importantly, does it fit your life, your values, your actual goals? The retirement model we follow today was built during the industrial era. Life expectancy was shorter, jobs were physically punishing. Retirement, if it came at all, might last a decade. Today, in many developed countries, people routinely live into their 80s. Many jobs are far less physically demanding. And yet, we're still running the same program: defer everything until 65. Perkins argues that most people don't design their decades, they drift through them. And drifting feels safe, it feels responsible. But safety and responsibility taken too far turn into the very thing people regret most on their deathbeds. Not the risks they took, but the ones they never did. The Harvard study of adult development, which tracked participants for over 80 years, found that the strongest predictor of long-term happiness was not wealth. It was the quality of relationships and shared experiences. Not income, not net worth. Experiences. Lesson 3. Stop drifting. Design your life deliberately. Lesson 4. Life has seasons, and spending should match them. One of the most practically useful frameworks in the entire book is what Perkins calls the 3 seasons of life. He describes the go-go years, roughly your 20s through 40s, as a period of high energy, high mobility, and genuine appetite for adventure and intensity. Then come the slow-go years, roughly your 50s through 70s, when you're still active and engaged, but tend to favor comfort and connection over physical intensity. And finally, the no-go years, when health becomes the central concern and mobility becomes limited. The implication is straightforward, but sobering. Certain experiences belong to specific seasons. Climbing a challenging mountain, backpacking across a continent on a tight budget, building something bold that requires relentless focus and stamina. These experiences belong to your go-go years. They don't translate cleanly to your slow-go years, and they're often impossible in your no-go years. But here's what most people do. They spend conservatively during their go-go years because retirement feels far away and saving feels responsible. Then they arrive at retirement with a substantial nest egg, and they discover that the things they most wanted to do with that money are either physically difficult or simply no longer appealing in the same way they once were. Perkins puts it plainly, money has different utility at different ages. $1 at 30 can buy adventure. $1 at 80 often buys medical care. Spend according to your season, not just your age. Lesson 4 is to match your spending to your life stage, because the ability to enjoy certain experiences is not permanent. Lesson 5. Know when working more costs more than it gives. Here is the trap that catches the most driven, disciplined, successful people. Just one more year, one more promotion, one more milestone, one more round of savings before finally allowing yourself to exhale. Perkins calls this the failure of the optimal stopping point. The moment when continuing to work longer begins costing you more in irreplaceable life than it adds in financial security. He makes a distinction that should be obvious but rarely is. Time is non-renewable. Money is renewable. You can earn more money. You cannot buy back a year of your child's childhood. You cannot buy back the healthy, energetic years you spent in an office when you could have been somewhere else, doing something that actually mattered to you. Consider someone at 55 earning a substantial income, already financially secure by any reasonable measure, who keeps grinding through 60-hour weeks because one more year feels safer. Meanwhile, her daughter is heading off to college. Her parents are getting older. The experiences that are available right now, today, are not available in the same form in 2 years or 5. Every additional year of work beyond what is genuinely necessary is a trade, and at a certain point, what you're trading away is more valuable than what you're getting back. Lesson 5. Calculate your enough. Don't sacrifice years that cannot be recovered chasing security you already have. Lesson 6. Die with zero. And now we arrive at the boldest, most controversial idea in the book. Perkins argues you should aim to die with zero. Not literally zero, he's not suggesting recklessness or ignoring real risk. He's making a deeper point. Every dollar you earn represents something. It represents hours worked, stress endured, time exchanged. If you die with a significant fortune that never got converted into meaningful experiences, all of that time and energy was essentially wasted. The life energy was sacrificed, but the return on that sacrifice was never collected. Perkins also reframes inheritance in a way that's worth sitting with. What is more impactful? Leaving your child $500,000 at 65 when they're already financially established, or giving them meaningful support at 30 when it could help them buy a home, reduce genuine financial stress, or take a risk they couldn't otherwise afford? Research from the Federal Reserve shows that most inheritances arrive when recipients are already in their late 50s or 60s. The financial impact at that point is often a fraction of what the same amount would have meant decades earlier. Now, the counterarguments are real, and they deserve honest acknowledgement. What if you live significantly longer than expected? What about major medical events? What about market downturns that erode savings? Perkins doesn't dismiss these concerns.
He argues for calculated, intentional planning, using insurance, annuities, long-term care planning, not reckless spending. The point is not to gamble your future. The point is to recognize the difference between protecting yourself from genuine risk and simply hoarding out of fear. Die with Zero isn't an instruction to be irresponsible. It's an invitation to be intentional. It's a reminder that money is a tool with a purpose, time has a deadline, and energy is finite. The goal isn't to be the wealthiest person in the room at the end. The goal is to have fully converted your time, your money, and your energy into a life that was genuinely, deeply, meaningfully lived. Final
thought. Imagine yourself at 75, sitting somewhere quiet, scrolling through old photos on your phone. There's the trip you took at 32 that you almost talked yourself out of because it wasn't the responsible moment. There are the years you chose presence over one more milestone. There are the memories you made with the people you love before time made that harder. No one on their deathbed wishes they had a higher savings rate. They wish they had said yes more. They wish they had waited less. They wish they had lived while they could. So here's the question worth actually answering. What is one experience you have been postponing, and what would it take to stop postponing it? If this perspective challenged you, share it with someone who might need to hear it, because your bank account measures your money, but your memories measure your life.